Wednesday, April 5th at about 9:45 in the morning, and we've been getting a lot of freezing rain at a temperature of -0.9, but strangely we've also been getting a lot of thunderstorms, lightning right to the ground in a lot of cases, and just generally continual rumbling for the last couple hours. Quite a strange situation to hear a thunderstorm go on for so long with fairly good severity in a temperature below freezing. The trees are fairly coated with ice now, and the pines are getting heavily coated with all their needles, and they're starting to droop quite a bit. Hopefully the temperature is going to go up in an hour or two and start to melt all that off their branches. Well, it's just after 11:30 now, and you can see all the trees and bushes are still coated in ice. It's still just below freezing. Been raining hard here all morning. We've got over half an inch, I think, and we had lots of lightning and thunder. Crazy weather. We're finally getting our morning walk in here, or at least part of it. I don't think we're going to get rain for another hour now or so. It's cleared up a bit. But I just hope these trees can get the ice melted off them soon. I've already seen one big branch snap beside our house. There's quite a weight on these pines, as you can see here. Looks like yeah, hard to say, 1/8 of an inch or more. Normally these branches do not hang over the trail like this, so just a sign that they're heavily weighted down. Our ponds are finally unfrozen, and just as I looked in the old pond there was a few mallards and a couple hooded mergansers sitting there. So it doesn't take long once they unfreeze for wildlife to start using them again. The wind is starting to pick up, and you can hear all the ice crackling in the branches. The birch trees are bent over. Well, I'm starting to hear thunder off to the west again, and I think what's happening is we've got a warm front coming in from the south trying to push its way up here, and it's having to rise up over the cold air that's embedded over this area. The cold air is trying to push down and the warm air is trying to push up, so the warm air goes high aloft over the cold air, and then when it rains it freezes on the way down through the cold air, and also creates the thunderstorms with the battle of the two fronts. Quite strong thunderstorms for a temperature of right around the freezing mark. And there's a heck of a lot of rain off to the west over the central US and arching up over Ontario, and I think that's coming this way later today. They have heavy rainfall warning out now for 30 to 50 millimeters plus. All told, I think we've got over half an inch now from just this morning. So it could be an interesting afternoon and evening here. Nice to see how the water's coming up in the pit. This area here isn't really a pond as such. It just floods when there's been a lot of rain or a lot of meltwater. And in the summer this dries up every year basically. These are what I call the central ponds in the pit. Basically a fairly large depressed area that often holds water until at least midsummer, sometimes late summer, depending on the amount of rain we get. It's not really a dugout pond, I don't believe, per se, but it does hold fairly good water. They must have just dug it out deeper when they were digging the pit at one time. But it's very full right now, as you can see. Here's our new pond. I call it that because, 10 years ago or so, we just had a guy come in with a little bulldozer and scraped it out. It was already dished here to some degree and would gather a bit of water. So we had him just go around and dig it out deeper. And this is pretty good. You may remember, if you've been following the channel for a while, this can dry right up some summers. But it's pretty full right now. And the old pond is just up there in the distance, but there's a couple ducks in there and I try not to disturb them. It's fully open now too, as far as I can see, and it's very full. There's the old pond from a different angle. Two mallards swimming around. You can probably hear a killdeer down here too. We usually have 1 or 2 pairs of killdeers that nest in the pit. They've been showing up a little bit lately, and they'll stay more steadily once the weather gets good. Crazy weather. Thunderstorms at freezing. I better get back to the house before we get downpoured on. Oh, didn't quite make it. Almost. Little bit of a downpour here in the last few hundred feet. So looking at the rain gauge on the morning of Thursday, April 6th, I can see that we have a full inner tube, which means a full inch there. And then we'll pour the rest of this water into the tube after I empty the tube. And that'll give us how much we had in total. Looks to me like maybe 1 3/4 inches or so, but we'll measure it out. Yeah, so here's the inside tube with the full inch. I'll empty that out, and then we'll measure how much was in the rest of it. Yeah, so we got 0.65 of an inch in this tube, so altogether we had 1.65 inches. So that would be just over 40 millimeters of rain. Here's a couple branches that fell off a white pine tree behind our house. See up there where the branch was? Nothing major here, but a little bit of damage.